Welcome back. Moving on, UPA chairperson Sonia Gandhi has unleashed a charm offensive of sorts upon DMK chief M. Karunanidhi and Tamil Nadu chief minister to resolve differences between the two allies over the conflict in Sri Lanka. Highly placed sources have told Times Now that Sonia Gandhi personally called DMK strongman Karunanidhi to assure him that New Delhi was using its diplomatic muscle to get Colombo to abjure violence and undertake negotiations with the LTTE. Sonia also briefed Karunanidhi about External Affairs Minister Pranab Mukherjee's meeting with his Sri Lankan counterpart. That's not all. Later today, External Affairs Minister Pranab Mukherjee is slated to travel to Chennai to brief Karuna on the latest developments. Highly placed sources have told Times Now that Sonia's assurances have had the desired effect upon Karunanidhi, and the DMK may withdraw its ultimatum, threatening to pull out of the UPA over the Lankan Tamil issue. On Friday, the DMK showed signs of softening its stand after Karunanidhi issued a statement in which he said, and I quote, "The confidence reposed in the union government that it would take appropriate steps on the Sri Lankan Tamils issue have not gone in vain," unquote. He was referring to the Prime Minister's statement and subsequent phone conversation with the Sri Lankan President, also the assurance given by Pranab Mukherjee in Parliament. Well, a senior DMK leader told your channel, and I quote, "If the Sri Lankan government gives an assurance to protect civilians, we will accept it. We know that there is an extent to which the Indian government can intervene. Our purpose was to ensure that the voices of Elam Tamils are heard, and we have successfully done that," unquote. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka has reassured India on the Lankan Tamil issue. During the first round of talks in the capital, a meeting between External Affairs Minister Pranab Mukherjee and Sri Lankan envoy Basil Rajapakse ended with Sri Lanka assuring the Indian government that there would be no civilian casualty in the ongoing military offensive against the LTTE, emphasizing that the interests of Tamils would be kept in mind. The Lankan envoy has also said that Indian medical help will also be allowed in Sri Lanka. Another round of talks will be held between India and Sri Lanka today, and a joint statement will be issued thereafter. Meanwhile, Pranab Mukherjee's speculated visit to Sri Lanka hasn't been confirmed yet. And here's what the Sri Lankan Minister Basil Rajapakse told Times Now after the meeting. He said, and I quote,
"More talks in the evening, and it was very useful and very positive talks."
Mr. Mukherjee visited Sri Lanka?
It is not discussed.
So what is the assurance that you have given the Indian government on the safety of Tamil civilians in the northern region, the war zone?
Every assurance we have given.
What are those assurances? Can you please clarify?
Look after the humanitarian needs and everything which we can, and we have more talks in the afternoon, and then issue a joint statement.
So the Indian government has asked that the Sri Lankan government allow medical aid to come.
Right.
So what about medical aid to the Tamil population?
Yeah. That was brought up, and we will have taken a positive.
Are you going to allow Indian medical aid, sir? Are you going to allow? Sir, are you going to allow Indian medical aid into this area?
Yeah.
Well, let's go across now to our correspondent Divya, who's in Chennai. Divya, how is the DMK reacting? Earlier, we'd learnt that they were willing to concede and call off their agitation because they seem to be convinced that the government at the centre is taking the steps as effectively as it can to bring an end to the violent campaign being launched by the Sri Lankan government against the LTTE.
Well, Rahul, as we all know, this is not the first time that the DMK government in the last 4.5 years is using pressure tactics to have its way. Last time in the case of the Neyveli Lignite Corporation, they didn't give in until their demands were met. However, this time it seems like Karunanidhi is softening his stand, is open to the fact that the Sri Lankan government has given an assurance that they will adopt a no civilian casualty policy and will rehabilitate all the displaced Tamils in Sri Lanka. Pranab Mukherjee has been meeting the Chief Minister for the last 1 hour. Maybe he could emerge any time, and we will know what decision Karunanidhi has taken. Is he going to accept the assurances right away, or will we have to wait until he consults with the other senior leaders, which is what he usually does, to find out what the decision really is? So maybe in the next few minutes we'll know what their decision has been. Rahul.
Divya reporting there from. We'll take a short break. We'll return with lots more. Stay with us. Don't go away.